Welcome to the lecture videos on Chapter 4 about the laws of motion. In this video, we'll give an overview of what we'll discuss in this chapter. Namely, we are going to first do an introduction into forces overall, and then we're going to get to the basic rules that govern all forces, known as Newton's laws. They basically break down into two separate ideas, even though there's three laws. The first two have to do with how do forces relate to motion. And then the third law has to do with how force by one object on another object relates to the force back from this other object back on the original object. So two places objects pushing on each other. Once you know the rules that cover all forces, we're going to go through and do an exhaustive discussion about all the forces we'll talk about, well, almost all the forces we'll talk about in College Physics 1. There will be a couple more forces, such as the buoyant force and drag force that we'll get into more detail later, or I'll introduce later. But for now, for several chapters, these will be the only forces we'll talk about. What information you know about them and how to identify them. And the last bit is we're going to talk about some ways to go about solving problems. Namely, we'll talk about a new type of diagram called a free body diagram and how you can use it in order to help you solve problems, what the kind of notation is on it, and some suggestions overall about how you can solve for different types of quantities. What should you be looking for?